All righty.
Teamwork.
It is. All right.
Teamwork that way.
I would like to call to order this regular city council meeting for Monday, June 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. If you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Ludwig. Here. Ames.
Here.
Van Allsburg.
Here.
Price.
Here.
Gilroy.
Here.
Hanson.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Right now I'm looking for approval of this evening's agenda unless there are changes that need to be noted.
Move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have an opportunity for audience participation with a maximum of 5 minutes per presentation. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Please feel free to come up, state your name and your address if you are a city resident.
My name is Brian Hamilton and I live on Grand River. I'm coming to you today not just as a resident, but as a father, a parks commissioner for the city, member of the Friends of Williamston Parks and from the Red Cedar Garden Club. And I just want to take a minute to first thank City Council and the city staff for all the work that you do every day, and to take a moment to acknowledge what our community has accomplished over the last year. More recently, the Red Cedar Water Trail designation through a lot of partnerships through the community. Also, we have got our city tree nursery with Jack Smith. And then tonight we're going to be talking about the tree inventory, and hopefully some of that will include canopy tree coverage. But these lead us to a moment where we can think beyond a budget cycle and more long-term for like generational. Trees are not just beautiful, they are infrastructure. They help in many different ways. For me, when we focus on the question of what do we want Williamston to look like in 20 years, for me that would include where our city tree nursery is not just a short-term project, but a long-term community asset where it can help put native species into parks, streets, public spaces, and help with restoration projects over a few decades. And I'd also love the city and Williamston to establish a long-term goal of setting a tree canopy for Michigan, DNR, and for urban forestry. They kind of recommend for our biome between 25 to 35% for that canopy coverage for the community. This would help with several things like flooding, slowing runoff, and it would help protect the water in our rivers. It helps clean the water, and it helps reduce soil erosion, it stores carbon, and also, most importantly, it would help create opportunities for the parks to offer environmental education. And most importantly, these kind of link directly to the goals that we have for the Parks and Recreation plans on being able to provide more recreation, more education, tourism, and all these provide economic benefits as well. For me, trees also improve air quality, they support wildlife habitat, and like we said, store carbon, but they also help make healthier communities and more resilient communities. They do this by creating spaces where people want to spend time. They will give us a stronger community by building connections, by making more welcoming parks and gathering spaces. It will encourage people to walk, bike, and do that paddling in the river and other outdoor activities throughout the year, because the trees will help make it more comfortable and more enjoyable doing those different activities. So this is just all the examples on how it can be. And with this arborist inventory being an important next step, I hope it will not only let us look at where we are today and what we have, but where we want to go in the future in the next 20 years. So hopefully we'll take this moment to really think about that and remember the greatest value of a city tree nursery is not just the trees that it grows this year, but what the community it creates in the future.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Anyone else for audience participation at this time? All right. We're going to move right along then. We have our city council candidate interviews, and I'm going to go in order of the applications that are in our packet. The first that we have is Spencer Good. Spencer, if you could come up to the podium, introduce yourself. We're going to take about 3 to 5 minutes for each candidate. So welcome and thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Spencer Good, although I think I know all of you. I live at 535 East Middle Street with my wife and newborn son, Marshall. He's 8 months. It's a really fun time, and yes, we are sleeping. Thankfully, not something we take for granted. Simply put, my family and I love Williamston. We chose to put down roots here. We started by renting, and now we are very fortunate to own our home, like I said, just a few blocks from here on East Middle Street. We very much see this as a place where we want to invest our children in, our future in, and I've been very fortunate to play a small role in the future of Williamston, having now served on the Planning Commission since October. As you all know, Planning Commission has stayed busy in that time, specifically updating our master plan, looking ahead as to how we can continue to provide a high quality of life for our residents while also meeting future needs, of which I see not just a couple, but many, as is true of any community. And I believe that I would make an exemplary city council member, one, because I built relationships in the city in the time that we've lived here, 2, because I have a grasp on the issues that we're facing, and 3, because I'm a people-driven person. I want to collaborate. I want to hear what our residents have to say. I am excited that they participated in the master plan update process, going back even before my time on the Planning Commission, during visioning sessions and so forth, but I want that to be an ongoing conversation, not taking for granted how they might feel, and I'm happy to go into more detail as the interview goes on.
All right, great. So I see here, and as well as my council members, you currently work as a legislative director, Michigan House of Representatives, and do you think that that experience will help you here?
Undoubtedly. I work with government officials both at the state and federal level, but also at the municipal level. And as such, I feel like I have a strong understanding of governance. I also would like to think that I have a firm understanding of what programs exist on those various levels, municipal, state, and federal. And the reality is that in order to sustain our way of life here in Williamston, we're going to need to work with state and federal partners, and so I feel confident in relationships that I've built here in Ingham County, but also across the state of Michigan. And so I do think that would be a real boon to council, having an understanding of what it takes to affect change through public policy, but also the pragmatism that it takes. We have a split government in Michigan, and I have to be a pragmatist every day. For example, city council only has purview over certain issues, and at the same time, our residents feel issues that are largely controlled by state and federal government. Affordability is something that we hear all about, and while we play a role in that, it's understanding, okay, what can we do, and how can we work with our state and federal partners? So I do believe that experience will serve me well, and ultimately serve our residents well, and that's the why here. I want to be a representative of Williamston, its values, its vision for the future. As I said a moment ago, that's largely, in my opinion, captured in our master plan. And I see a great next step of council, one that I think, in fact, know is already in the works, being the implementation of the strategic action plan at the end of the master plan.
Council, I'll open this up since this is an interview. Dan and Scott, so Dan.
Are there issues that you see currently facing Williamston that are catalysts towards you wanting to apply for council, things that you're wanting to address, or?
I wouldn't say issues, I would say opportunities. So for example, the 66 acres in our I-2 district that the city just reacquired from Granger, I see that as a great opportunity, one, to expand our tax base and hopefully alleviate some of the financial pressures both on the city and our residents. But also attract new businesses, potentially even new jobs. I see that as a great opportunity and one that council has purview over. Beyond that, I know that the council is going to look at our zoning ordinance pursuant to the work that the Planning Commission has done. Housing is an issue that I don't just hear here in Williamston, I hear it everywhere. That's one of those issues I mentioned a moment ago that manifest here at the local level, but as far as policy making is concerned, is implicated at every level of government, but with that said, I think we can make mindful, thoughtful changes to our zoning ordinance, many that have already been identified by McKenna, our planner, and make those changes in order to expand our housing supply in Williamston while also preserving our rich character. I mean, you see it when you exit this building and you're at the main floor, and I know that's something important to our residents.
All right, Scott?
Yeah, that was actually my question, so
Okay.
I'll have another one. So I'll just ask about data centers. Do you know, what's your take on that? There's a lot of volatility about those around the state.
Well, and I don't need to tell all of you that we recommended our ordinance, and I think that speaks for itself. I mean, as far as Williamston is concerned, there's not much land that could be used for a data center. My understanding is that data center projects, or proposals I should say, are huge. I mean, quite literally huge. I don't think we have the acreage. But with that said, we were smart, in my opinion, to implement that ordinance, to make sure that the city was not subject to, say, a lawsuit, which we've seen in other municipalities. I have more general thoughts on data centers, but as far as it would pertain to me serving on city council, I think the ordinance is the right step towards preserving our historic Williamston,
Okay.
but also protecting the city's best interest and ultimately our residents' best interest. And I think that was probably my favorite planning commission meeting to date. We had a room full of people and the dialogue was respectful and our residents were informed, and I think people came in thinking that we were gonna have a data center, or maybe that we were really opposed, not totally sure where our appointed officials stood, but left having a clearer understanding of why we were even taking up that issue to begin with. And the reality is that it's going to impact every Michigan community eventually in one form or another, so I think we were really smart to be proactive.
All right, we got about 1 more minute left. Question, anyone? Terry?
Well, we've lived here for 8 years now. The only thing I think Williamston doesn't do very well is the industrial park out there. And so I'm really pleased that you're part of this planning commission thing, this ongoing thing. Is there anything specific you think we should be doing in the next 6 months?
Well, like I said a moment ago, in our master plan, we have a strategic action plan, and it's categorized by level of urgency, and city council is tasked with certain assignments in conjunction with our city staff who work really hard and are doing a lot of this work day to day. I mean, I could pick certain projects. I mean, one that I hear a lot about in the community, especially among our civic organizations, is wayfinding signage to put a spotlight on what Williamston is doing, be it our retail, be it our events. Actually, our neighbor Weberville just put one in. It's huge. It's right when you get off 96. I think we would actually do well to at least take inspiration. That's an objective that was called out in the strategic action plan. Now it's just time to implement it and do so thoughtfully.
Great, thank you. Did you have a question, Tim?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
You got a great background, what you do for a living. You were talking about how you dealt with municipalities in Lincoln County and state. And with that, how would you actually help the city of Williamston with those connections?
Well, I mean, to be frank, serving on our city council means that my first and foremost interest would be our residents, but obviously, and I'll speak for myself, my wife and I shop in Okemos or dine in East Lansing. I mean, we're transient beings, and so I think it starts with relationships. That's something that's really important to me, and I think that's why I've, talked with each and every one of you at some point, because I wanted to get to know you, the person, your wife, are sitting behind that desk, and I think just in dialogue with other local officials. I mean, obviously, we have a lot of intersections, literally and figuratively, with the surrounding townships. For example, Williamstown Township made some comments, just a few on our master plan, but the way that we shape Williamston, the city that is, will impact the surrounding townships and vice versa. So I think it's about dialogue, and it's about relationships and building trust, and I think that's something that I've done in other walks of life, certainly in my vocation, and something that I have prioritized as an appointed official on Planning Commission. But I think it starts with our residents and just asking the question, how can I serve you?
Thank you, Spencer. Appreciate you being here this
Thank you.
evening. Next, we have Brian Hamilton, back to the podium, and thanks so much for being here. So Brian, it's an opportunity for you to introduce yourself to us, and from your application, and you're on Parks and Rec, and you really, teed up the tree inventory very lovely, but go ahead and introduce yourself to us as a candidate this evening.
My name is Brian Hamilton. I've been on the Parks and Rec Commission for about the same amount of time since a little bit October. But I've really been involved with the community through the Red Cedar Garden Club and the Friends of Williamston Parks and the Rotary Club. I'm not a member, but you know, Earl Wolf is, and a few other people that are in the garden club that I work with on a basis. But I've really learned a lot about this community through my partner's family, who's been here for generations, and then just through that work on how important the relationships are in this community, and how a lot of the work that's been done, at least through the parks, has been community driven, and how a lot of residents, when they knew I was coming today about the trees, they were like sending me videos and like calling me like, what are you gonna say? You know, our community is really important because we have this historical like look and we have this feel, and a lot of people have been here for generations. So just learning about those different issues and how hard this community works together has kind of helped inspire me more, because I've always been involved, but this is a little bit different than how I've been involved before. And I just like to fill in where I feel like I could help in some way, but I also like to always learn. Like I've been learning on the parks when we had the joint meeting with the other town, like how we can work together, and actually start working with their parks committee a lot more too through that work. But this community just has been an inspiration to me to even be more involved.
So I heard you say something, so I'm curious. You said your partner's family's business has been here for generations. If you don't mind me asking, I would love to know, what is their business?
Well, not their business, but their family.
Oh, their
They've
family.
been here
Oh,
for
okay.
generations.
Okay.
They don't really own a business, but they work at Peckham's.
Okay.
And then his mom used to work at Meyer, and she retired from there.
Good. Well, we love generational families in this community, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, questions for council? Scott?
Yeah, it's not actually a question, but I just wanted you to know how much I appreciate what you said about trees.
He loves
Thank
trees.
Yeah.
He loves them.
Yeah, so I totally appreciate it, I thank you for that.
Dan?
Same question I had for Spencer. What issues or opportunities you see facing Williamston or going on in Williamston that are catalysts for you wanting to apply to the city council?
Perfect. Well, my perception of that is going to be a little bit different because the groups I work with are kind of more parks related. But with the work I've done in the past, it's most important just connecting with the people of the community and just going straight to them and asking what's been going on in their mind. A lot lately, some things, like I said already, about the trees, because some people knew about the city tree nursery and the tree inventory and things like that. But then also the data center question that came up, like some people have been sending me like videos that other communities are dealing with, and other news videos about, you know, this, they know that I will come and I will speak up if people want me to. And then so I just built that into my long-term strategy and how I can work that in with all the work I'm already doing. But besides the data center and the tree inventory and some of the people's goals along that, it's all been like having like the Jubilee going smoothly and filling people and events into the parks and having different groups collaborate better to use those community spaces. So obviously the work with the city council would be a lot more inclusive of everything that happens. Watching the Facebook page, I know a lot of people talk about the sidewalks and the streets and their quality, and so I know Tammy definitely goes on there a lot and responds to people, but that just goes back to the heart of this community and building relationships and just listening to their voices to know what those projects would be.
Great. Other questions, anyone? So I also see too, and I want to say thank you for your service. You were in the Navy.
Yes.
Awesome, great. How many years did you serve?
I did one and I got out under medical, but honorary condition.
All right, well, thank you for your service to our country. I appreciate that. All right, anything else, last few words that you want to share with us? You got 1 minute.
Nothing really specific, it's just my heart is for this community, like my daughter's growing up here. However I can help is what how I want to help, but I know right now my long-term commitment is to the parks. So if there are better candidates, I'm definitely welcome, because I'm still learning a lot about how this city functions in this community. But I'm here to help however I can in whatever capacity that ends up being.
Great, thank you. And council definitely has its importance, but I think Parks and Rec is probably the funnest board to be on, because you do get to have all of the fun and do the really neat projects, so.
We just did the Gaga ball pit, so.
Yeah, great. All right, well, thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate you being here this evening and our opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. All right, next we have Buzz Soderman, so if you could come up to the podium, please. And his official name is Harold, but I know him as Buzz. So please introduce yourself to council.
Hi, my given name is Harold B. Soderman Jr. My father passed away back in 1970 something or other. I dropped the junior, he earned Harold. The minute I was born, I was Buzz. So, I go by Buzz. I've had a lot of experience in government. I worked for the Saginaw County Drain Commissioner for 7 years. I was the first Saginaw County drain inspector. I also ran against him in an election, and I carried all the farm vote, and naturally he carried the city vote, so I got beat. But I learned a lot. I learned it's a dirty business, and I've lived out here. I live at 1105 Riverview Court, right here behind us, which has now become a refuge for deer and everything else, being that there's construction on both sides. And I've watched my value of my condo drop immensely. But that's not really why I want to get on this board. I served 4 years in the military. My last year was spent in Vietnam. And I only had 1 year left when they sent me there. I also have 3 years of college, unlike my colleagues back here who have college degrees. It just wasn't in the cards. I started out to be a teacher, teaching history and biology, and didn't do so well. And my dad said, look, this is your options. You are on academic probation after being a National Honor Society student. And he said, you want to sleep in a foxhole, or you want to sleep in a clean bed? Being that my mother was a nurse, clean bed sounded good. So I enlisted in the Navy. When I got out, I took that 1.9 and raised it to 3.8. The last courses I took were out in California, pre-vet medicine. I moved back here, go to Michigan State, and they wouldn't accept my credits because I had already done things that their graduate students were doing, and I wasn't a grad student. So I have a background in veterinary medicine. For 13 years I had a Norwegian elk hound kennel. I showed dogs. I was allowed to treat my own dogs. I had a vet that was very good and trusted me. In the Navy, I started out working my way up from a plane captain on A4s to the F4 Phantoms. I was privileged enough to be asked to be an instructor, any pilot that was going to be in an F4, and that was one of the main jets in Vietnam. They had to go through my class. I worked on ejection seats, and to me that was very important. And I had in my class, and I was stationed at that time was called, I don't even remember, Fighter Town, and then it became Top Gun. So every pilot that had to go through my class. And I was approached by the Blue Angels to be one of their crew members, and I turned it down because I had a wife and child and I didn't want to do all the traveling. I've lived in this community for 15 years. As you can tell, I'm probably older than most of you, including those two guys. And I decided it was time to do something useful with my time instead of sitting at home. So that's where I'm at.
All right. Well, you've got municipality experience. I love that, and thank you for your service. Dan, I'll go to you because I think you're going to ask your exact same question, but repeat it for Buzz, please.
What issues or opportunities do you see facing Williamston that's the catalyst for you wanting to get on council?
Well, I could say the place next to us, but I'm gonna be nice. I'd like to see the streets that were supposed to be done, get done. Sidewalks need a lot of work. And I would like to see McCormick Park used a lot more. I guess it needs to be advertised more. That I don't know. Does that answer your question?
It does,
Sure.
thank you.
And Scott, you had your hand
Yeah,
up.
is it possible you've written a book?
I've actually written 4 books, put them out by myself. And one of them is like I was gearing it for high school students. When I lived out in Nevada, I was a substitute teacher. So well liked that most of the time I would get a class for all 5 days. I never had a day off. It was all high school kids. I relate better to them. And after that, I did a second book called Optic Nerve. It's kind of a mini autobiography about a starving writer out in Nevada. Third one was Doing It in the Dirt, Southwest style, because I covered dirt track racing in Nevada and Arizona. And the fourth book was, I worked as an independent contractor with the Saginaw hockey team. I was born and raised in Saginaw. I got involved with them in the early 70s. I was actually taking pictures of the players, and kids wanted the pictures. So I started selling 4x6 pictures for $1 a piece. And it got so bad I couldn't go to the restroom because in between periods, because there'd be 20 and 30 kids buying pictures from me. So I got a phone call from the general manager of the Saginaw hockey team, it was then the Generals, and called me everything but a white man. And I said, well, obviously I have a product you wished you had. And so we did a gentleman's agreement. I would take the pictures, and they would go into they had I don't know exactly what they called themselves, but my pictures ended up there. And then I went to the general manager again and I said, well, if you're losing money, why don't you have the players autograph the pictures, and instead of selling them for $1 a piece, sell them for $5 a piece. Well, that didn't set real well with them, but I continued when they became the Saginaw Hawks. That's when I made my mark, because all the players liked me. I was allowed on the ice to take pictures. I took pictures in the penalty box during warm-ups, and that led to doing, I don't know how many of you follow hockey, but Eddie Belfour was a goalie for the Blackhawks, won a Stanley Cup with the Dallas Stars. I did his first wedding. I say first because I think he's been married 3 times or 4 times. And I did one other hockey player's wedding. So that is basically, besides the writing, everything, just fit into place. I can tell the stories. Every player that came through Saginaw's portals is in the hockey book.
Nice.
And what I did, let him go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll this along a little bit more, and Terry, you have a question for
Just kind of
Buzz?
curious, you had down there a vet, Navy vet.
Yes.
Are you on a ship or are you on seaboard?
I only spent, in 4 years, I only spent 6 weeks on ship. I was land-based in Vietnam at a little base, it was a support base in Ben Tui, which is down in the Mekong Delta, the most heavily sprayed area of Vietnam. That's why I have that. I have neuropathy in my hands and feet. I had prostate cancer, constant Mohs surgery for facial, for the sunburn, PTSD, and the list just keeps going on, and it grows every year.
Okay, so you worked on the F4 and what other aircraft?
The other one was the A4,
The A4. Cool.
and I also, that was the captain's plane was the A4. He also had a SPAD, and He trained me on being a plane captain on that.
Cool, just curious. I named the guy myself, so I was just curious.
Well, thank you for your service.
Any other questions from council for Buzz? All right, thank you so much for being here this evening, appreciate you.
Not a problem.
All right, so candidates, what's gonna happen, we did our interviews this evening, and when we come together again at our next council meeting, that is when I will ask for a motion of who council would like to put forward as our new council member, and it will be a vote of council. And then Holly, if we, at our next council meeting, we vote, then they would take the oath with you, and then they would start at that very next council meeting. And just to remind all of our candidates, this is a term to fill our council member that departed, so that it'll go from when you take your seat until November, and that's when we have our election. If you choose to want to run in November, have we passed that deadline already yet, Holly? Just really quick. July 22nd, and that's by picking up forms, getting the prescribed number of signatures, so that you could be on the actual ballot in November if you wanted to retain that seat. So again, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time this evening. I'm going to move along on our agenda. We have our council meeting minutes from June 8th, 2026. I'm looking for a motion to approve those unless there are changes that need to be made.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you so much. Do I have support? Thank you both. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have accounts payable this evening. Terry, can you tell us where the money went?
What happened to all that money? I had, looking through this, I only had two questions. One was this trusses, $4,366 for trusses, and I thought, trusses, what are we doing with trusses? And then I noticed that there's a pole barn being built by the city
Right.
in the industrial area, so that's where the trusses are going. My other question was about that postal meter thing, and I'm thinking, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
So,
Same question.
and that's on the agenda, so
Yes.
we'll be doing that on the agenda.
All right.
So other than that, I have no other questions or comments about the accounts payable.
All right,
Should I make the motion?
I'm looking for your motion, and then if council has questions, I'll entertain those questions before I ask for support.
Okay. Make a motion to approve EFT 2328, checks 79093 to 79113, and ACH 2315 to 2335, for a grand total of $72,120 even.
All right.
Second.
Thank you very much. If there's no other questions or concerns, and Terry, I think you need to correct it, it's check 79093 through 79117, not 79113.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Okay, all right, so can you make a friendly amendment?
Want me to redo that?
Just say make a friendly amendment.
I'm sorry.
I make a friendly amendment.
I'll make a friendly amendment? Is that a thing?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
That's how
Yes,
you amend a motion.
It's how you amend
A
a
friendly
friendly amendment,
amendment,
and
okay.
we have support.
Like,
Yes, exactly. If there are no questions for the accounts payable that are before this, Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Van Osburgh.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Terry, appreciate that. Moving along to our action items, it is a little bit of a lengthy list. We've got 5 different action items before us. The first is the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget amendments. We do have a memo in our packet from our previous, now retired city treasurer, Tom Mead. So I'm gonna turn this over to our city manager, John Hannafin, to walk us through this.
Thank you. As part of the annual budget process, it's really one of the last steps for closing out the year is to make any budget amendments that are necessary. Included in the packet are budget amendments for 4 funds: the general fund, economic development fund, TIFA 2B, and DDA. A, C, and D, which is general fund, TIFA, and DDA, it's a net zero budget amendment. The revenue exceeds the various line items that we may have gone past, and we also had some line items that were below the estimated amount. So those are in net zero. The only one that is a use of fund balance is for the economic development fund, and that was for their share of the analytics tool that we use, the Placer AI, which we happy to explain that in detail if anybody needs it. But we do need to have 4 separate resolutions
Okay.
for that, and I would answer any questions you may have.
So, no, that's okay. The three that are net zero are A, C, and D. For economic development, that is a change in the fund balance of $4,000. And what John is talking about, this data that we collect, it shows when people are coming into Williamston. It's called PACER. And what it does is it takes your cellular telephone, it's able to ping these cellular telephones and tell us where we go through our high points. And we look at that when we're doing events. We can look at the first weekend in December and pretty confidently, track how many people are in the city. We share this data with farmers market so that they can see on the average how many people we've got here on a Sunday between May and October. We also look at the other events that we have going on. We'll look at Jubilee and share that with the Red Cedar Jubilee Committee, and we use that when in our planning and when we're doing these different events. But it's also nice to see what is the flow coming in and out of Williamston, especially when we're doing these events. And you can even dive deeper and we can actually see where people are from.
Right.
Can't see people's names or anything like that, so there's, nothing like that, but we can see where they're traveling from and coming into Williamston. It's pretty cool. No, it's not spying, it's called data, and you like numbers, so.
Mother's not full
That's right.
If you have nothing to hide, why?
Right.
You don't know
Exactly.
who it is, you just
Yeah.
know that somebody came.
Yeah, that somebody came. So with that, John said that we need 4 individual motions. He does have them each identified on the front page of that memo, so I'm looking for the first motion for the General Fund 101.
Make a motion to approve the budget amendments for the General Fund 101 as presented.
Thank you so
Second.
much. Thank you. Holly, will you call the roll?
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Van Osburgh,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
All right, I'm looking for the motion for Economic Development Fund 244.
Can I do another friendly amendment?
Yeah, go
It
ahead.
was so much fun,
All right.
I want to make a motion to approve the budget amendments for Economic Development Fund 244 as presented.
Thank you. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Van Osburgh,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
I don't think you're as sick as you immediately. All right, I'm looking for the motion for TIFA 2B Fund 247.
Make a motion to approve the budget amendments for TIFA 2B and Fund 247 as presented.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you both. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Van Osburgh,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
All right, I'm looking for that final motion for Downtown Development Fund 248.
Make a motion to approve the budget amendments for downtown development fund 248 as presented.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you both. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Van Osburgh,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Our next action item is our WOW business contract renewal. We have a memo in the packet from our city manager, John Hankin, so I will turn that over to him.
Thank you. Our current agreement is expiring at the end of this fiscal year, and we have had WOW for a number of years here in the city, and frankly, it was our only option for a long time. We used that both for internet and our phone service in all of our city facilities. We've been pleased with the service. I know some folks maybe on your cable may be a different story, but as far as phone and internet, we've been happy with the service. But we did reach out to Comcast. If you recall, they were building the spine of their network over the last couple of years, and they were in town, and we did reach out to them for a quote. And so we did a cost comparison between the two companies. Again, we're recommending that we do renew our contract with WOW. We're actually having a net decrease per month in the agreement. So happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, Comcast, it's a solid price. It's price comparable to what we're paying now. It's about $50 more per month. But the other thing that would come with changing providers is there would be some amount of downtime in our phone and internet to make that conversion, because we'd be looking at replacing the entire phone system. So, happy to answer any questions you may have, but like I said, we've been pleased with WOW, and this is for a 36-month contract.
Yep, and that's what I was just gonna mention. This is for our city hall, our police department, our DPW, our wastewater treatment plant, and our water plant. I think it's great that we're seeing a decrease per month, and so these prices are locked in for the next 36 months, so we're not gonna see any increases. Even if something happens in the WOW world, they're not gonna be able to pass on any increases to us for 3 years.
Correct, and if they did that, we'd be able to cancel the contract.
Okay, excellent.
So
Yes,
the WOW thing is for 3 years, Comcast is only for 2 years, huh?
okay,
That's an
excellent.
additional
I
benefit.
think frankly, the increased competition has led to a decreased price for us.
Sure.
We did upgrade our service too, since I've been here. When I started, the police department didn't have enough bandwidth to process the HD cameras from some of the various security facilities that they look in on, and that's the schools basically. So we were able to upgrade that, and that was a pretty seamless transition, I believe.
It was, yeah.
So,
All
yeah,
right.
so we've been happy with it.
All right, and I do like the fact that you did do a cost comparison, because that way we're transparent, we're not just sticking with one provider, we look to see if there was a better deal, and it looks like WOW is gonna probably continue with our business. I'm looking for a motion to move this forward.
Make a
Make a
motion,
motion.
no, you're good. Make a motion to approve the internet and phone service provider contracts through WOW Business for the following city locations: 161 East Grand River, both City Hall and Police; 1657 Lynn Road; 781 Progress Court; 175 East Grand River Avenue; and 524 Sunset Street.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you both. If there's no other questions regarding this, I will ask Holly to call the roll.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy.
Yes. All right, next on our action list is our mail meter lease renewal, and so we have a memo. I'm gonna turn it over to our city manager, Dan Hampton.
So I know there was some discussion during accounts payable. There was a bill recently for postage. Pretty happy that was the tax bills. So that was somewhat different. We do get a price break on that from when we actually go to the post office. But this machine is what we use daily and weekly and quarterly for things like utility billing, any communications that we may send out, any bills that we may send back. So that machine right around the corner there. There's a little bit of a price increase, but there is a price lock for 60 months, so we thought that was a pretty good deal. And happy to answer any questions you may have. It's not a huge line item when you consider a $15 million budget. This is about, you know, $400 a quarter.
All right, great. Well, I think it's spelled out pretty nicely there. Yes, John?
Why are we voting on it?
Why are we voting on it?
Yeah.
Because it's a renewal of an agreement, and the way the charter is, I would be happy to sign every agreement we have, but the way we're chartered is the mayor is the signatory for all agreements.
So it's a contract, so
This is
that's
locked in
why.
for 5 years, huh?
Correct.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
so, is that a good answer for your question, as far as
Not
contracts
really.
needing to be
I go,
signed?
well, what about, I got lots of what-abouts, but
Okay,
I just don't like to bother with little stuff.
okay, all right, well, because it's a 5-year contract, it does require a signature, and so that's what our charter says, so that's why we're voting on it. I'm looking for that motion to move this forward.
Make a motion to renew the mail meter lease with Pitney Bowes for $147.58 per month for a 60-month period beginning September 2026.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Second.
All right, thank you. If there's no other questions or discussion, Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
All right, our next action item is our tree grant, tree inventory. We do have a memo in our packet with the tree inventory, and so I'll turn this over to John as well.
Thank you. We did receive a tree grant in 2025, and one of the scope items, really the major one, was an inventory of the tree canopy here in the city. We did talk to a couple of vendors. Davy was the only one that we thought, it's myself and Jack Smith, who I was hoping was going to be here tonight, but we had talked about that Davy provided the best proposal because it was the most comprehensive, and it also fits within the budget parameters of the grant. They did submit, in the table in the summary, they did submit 3 task items, the tree inventory itself, tree keeper software, which has a number of items that we're not gonna be purchasing at this time, and then a tree inventory management plan. So what we're asking for tonight is a motion to hire Davey Tree Service for task 1 and task 3 for the total amount of $13,080 to be paid for by the our tree grant. And then their full proposal is here. It's shudder to think of all the trees that were, have to donate their lives to make the packet. There's also the full grant is in there too. We're gonna talk about it as a discussion item here in a minute. So,
Okay.
So there it is.
Alright.
They're excited to get forward, moving forward, assuming approval tonight. They'll be on the job very soon, and they have a deadline of completing by mid-August, which they more than confident that they'll.
Great. And so can, the tree inventory, is that just for city-owned properties or for the entire city?
It's for city-owned properties, which would be in the easements and parks. And we can also, there's a limit on the number that we're gonna inventory. If we have any left over out of the 1,200 in the initial, we could start looking at our different facilities, like the wastewater plant or the water plant. It's not as essential because, we have a good idea of what's there because they're on our properties.
Right, okay, yes.
How do we keep track of the inventory and the estimation of the potential for damage and so forth? How do we keep track of that without the software? Software is task 2. How do we keep track of 1 and support 3 without 2?
So when we have
Good
it,
question.
they'll go out and we'll catalog all the trees, and then we'll have a written document. It'll be a digital written document that will say in front of 115 Fake Street Gates, North Street, there's an elm tree, and so we'll know that it's there. As far as the documenting that the tree's damaged or dead, that's ocular field verification method. Eyeball it, you see a dead tree. So
Okay.
I don't think we need software. We're not that big, right? We don't
Right.
need software to know that a tree isn't there
So
anymore.
we'll have a written report rather than
That's
the
correct.
software?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That works good.
And there's nothing to preclude us from maybe in the future, acquiring the software, but I don't think that's necessary.
Dan?
That's a great explanation. I was wondering the same thing, but the software is close to $17,000-$18,000 by itself, so that's a large, that's
I think we-
doubling the cost of the project if you go with the software. And John's explanation was very good.
I think we can handle a couple more pieces of paper with a tree list on it.
So we're thinking, how many trees, 1,200, did you say?
Up to 1,200 is what they will inventory. Is that
There's
correct?
gonna be more.
Yes.
Right. Or wait a minute, up to how many? Yeah, up to 1,200 existing trees and stumps, okay. And additional inventory data collection above. Okay. So let me ask you this, per site, yes, I'll get right to you. So per site, so let's say we get through 1,200 trees with all of the parks and DPW, and we hit that maximum. So now per site, not necessarily per tree, it's per site, they'll count more trees. And it's gonna cost us only $693 per site. Okay, all right, John.
The way it was presented is something new. Why now?
As far as the tree inventory,
Yeah,
it was part, when we decided to submit the grant, and ultimately when you as a council decided to accept it, this was a major part of it.
okay. But is it, I'm sorry, I missed, very important, I missed the grant part. So there's already funding there.
That's correct.
Okay, fine.
We're doing this because Jack Smith decided that
Right,
he wanted to do
right.
trees.
And we got grants
He's
for
really the
that.
driver behind it.
Yes.
And it's very cool.
Well,
Okay.
I would say that
Yes,
as
John,
teacher, sorry.
yes.
So I would say that's correct, but I think one of the, I'll say it, anomalies when I started, knowing that we did a major construction project on Middle Street, and we did, when street trees were removed,
We
every
didn't have a
place
plan.
else I've ever worked, you take one out, you put it back
Yep.
on street trees, so
Yep.
we didn't do that in that case, so.
Yep.
That was part of the discussions, the meeting Jack for the first time like 3.5 years ago or so, that he's done a lot of that himself in his neighborhood at Riverside in that area, but we're now a one, take one, replace one.
Riverside looks really good.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get into more meat and potatoes of our tree nursery
Correct.
tree grant when we
Yep.
get down to discussion items. Dan, you, I think, wanted to say something, or did you want to offer up the motion?
John, I will offer the motion.
Okay. Here at the bottom.
I'll make a motion to hire Davy Tree Service for task 1, $8,500, and task 3, $4,580 for a total amount of $13,080 to be paid for by the DNR tree grant.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Support.
All right, thank you. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Haynes,
Yes.
Van Allsburg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just gotta figure out what page we're on next, because that was so long. That's the grant. We are going into our last action item, which is the election commission appointments.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
That's still page 88, okay, oh, I'm almost there. As we scroll. Alrighty, we have a memo in our packet, it is from our city clerk, Holly Thompson, regarding our election commission, so I'm gonna turn it over to her.
I think I misspoke. The deadline for nominating commissioners is June, or July 21st.
July 21st, okay.
21st. So with the retirement of Tom Mead, that leaves a vacancy on our election commission. You guys just appointed it in January, but we do need a full slate in order to conduct our business for the rest of the year. And our deputy treasurer can serve in that capacity.
Okay.
Fill that vacancy.
All right, so because Tom is leaving, Ann Casper would take that spot. So we've got this requested action in front of us. I think it's pretty cut and dry. Does anybody have any questions for Holly regarding election commission? I'm looking for the motion.
Make a motion to appoint city clerk Holly Thompson, city manager John Hannafin, and deputy treasurer Ann Casper to the election commission.
Thank you so much. Do I have support? All right, Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Van Allsburg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes.
Yes.
All right, that concludes our action items for this evening. We're gonna move into our our discussion items, and we've got our main four safety improvements. Any updates from MDOT?
Nothing.
Okay, all right, then moving right along to city nursery and tree grants. So a little bit more healthy, discussion.
Yeah, so you have the full grant in your packet now, and you can read through it at your leisure, and you can see all the good work that Mr. Smith has put in to help bring the nursery to fruition. And really, I talked with him, I guess right after the last council meeting, that he had talked about, advertising that trees were available. We agreed that doing the tree inventory first is the right thing to do, so
Right.
we'll do that. And with that being complete in August, then we'd be able to start planting where there's gaps in our network on the streets. Based on the trees that we have planted at the nursery, we'd be able to start planting on the easements in the this coming fall, so.
Oh, just one moment. So I guess my question is, I walked away from our last council meeting when Jack was here, and do we have concerns about planting, and I know these trees take a long time to mature and get to, full bigger age. However, do we have concerns about putting trees in the right-of-way space because of our infrastructure? Will those tree roots, if they are in that median between the sidewalk and the curb, will those tree roots eventually compromise our water sewer? Or a water main going to a house, or a gas line going to a house? If it's in a residence yard, it's the resident's responsibility. If there's a problem on their property, they have to take care of it. But when we're willingly or knowingly putting a tree in a right-of-way space, do we have concerns about that?
Well, that's the second to water winning. Tree roots is, a close second as far as like impacting underground infrastructure. So the short answer to that is it will. And also on easements where usually it's telecom, because those are the lowest lines. A lot of those are underground now, but
Right.
so On North Putnam, for example, we met with, when we were replacing trees, we met with residents and asked if we could shift a tree to their side of the sidewalk with an easement, of course,
Right.
or easement to place the tree. Not because of shifting the responsibility, because ultimately the roots will get big enough and the trees get big enough. That's the downside of having a mature tree canopy. It's mainly sidewalks initially.
Keeping the
And there's
sidewalks
a
and
potential,
sidewalk
it's usually sewer, older sewer
Mhm.
lines more than it is the other infrastructure
Yep.
that is impacted.
What
So-
about species selection?
Well, I mean, again, we don't have a lot of variation in the inventory, or in the current tree nursery, but that's one of the things that inventory will tell us. And I don't know, I know I keep track of this because there's one thing on this planet that I'm allergic to, and that's the flowering pear
The
trees.
pears.
That's in every small town and every city in the Midwest. So you're no longer allowed to plant those.
Yeah.
That's an invasive species, and so when those do die off, we have to like find a
So,
suitable replacement.
well, and what's better, a tree where there's fewer roots that go down or one that goes out?
That's a great question. They go down deeper, the trees like, more hardy and will withstand, wind and rain, et cetera. and-
Right, but what about from our point of view, from the rec?
I mean, I frankly, I haven't studied it in that level of detail, but when we do, again, the first things first, we'll have a tree inventory done, and then we'll be mindful in the plantings as much as we can.
Tim?
I've got fiber optic surf, and
Mhm.
so that would destroy my line that's dug down 4 inches going across. So when we look at the people that are gonna get these trees, how are we gonna get that information? They could be in the same situation I'm in where I couldn't get one. So how would we figure that out?
Well, again, when we get to the point of where we're replacing trees, and before, with anything that any tree or any utility project, we do mistakes, and so we mark where all those utilities are. But if we plant a tree in the easement, we can't guarantee that it's not gonna impact the fiber optics. No one can guarantee that.
Go ahead, Dan.
I mean, just anecdotally, I have a maple that's been in my front yard, and it's probably, like, I don't have a sidewalk, but it's probably very close to where the sidewalk would be if we had one.
Yeah.
I, 3 times a year, have to treat my leach line, because if I don't, it happens. It's
Yeah,
a
that's what
part
we do
of,
too.
it's
Yeah,
part
we
of
do.
having a tree in your front yard or in the front city easement is, now, part of mine may have been, my house sat empty for a couple of years before I bought it, so then, when there's nothing flowing through there, but it's kind of part of it.
We still have, I will say, before we did the sidewalk project on Williams, there was a tree in my front yard that at that time, when the city put in sidewalk, they chose to go around it, even though it was technically in the city median. That tree has since come down. I still have residual roots in we have to do the same thing, we have to have a camera go through, we have it, hydro jetted to get those roots out. But I think, John, if we were to pick, those easements, we would ask the homeowner, do you want a tree?
Correct.
In that space, and then the homeowner does have the option to say, no, you know what, I'm good.
Correct.
Back when I was a kid, they planted red maples all along William Street, in between the curb and the sidewalk, the entire length of William Street. There's only 2 left, because over time, they've died, and there has not been a replacement. Would we consider smaller dwarf trees and not large growing trees? Is that something Jack would be able to help us with as well? If we,
Sure.
and I see, Brian, you're shaking your head yes, and I saw your hand, and I'll come to you in a minute. But we could modify, put in those maybe shallow roots, smaller dwarf trees, if we still wanted something.
Yeah, I'm the furthest thing from an arborist.
Right.
So, I mean, if that's what folks wanna do, we can certainly do that. I think the species that are out there now are, generally like hardwood.
Sure.
or oak and maple, so.
My last question is, what if a resident decided that they wanted to plant something between the sidewalk and the curb? Do they need to come and get city approval first, because it's a right of way?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Yes, Terry.
The report says that there are 20 trees that should be available for planting in 2026 in the spring. Is there any interest on that? Has anybody contacted you and said, oh, I want a tree?
Well, in the discussions I had with Mr. Smith, that we need to like pump the brakes a little bit before we throw out that there's trees available and we're coming to plant them. Because
Yep.
there's the question of like prioritizing species selection, who's the first block or the first area to get trees. And, you know, I'm not really trying to be in the business of having the folks who 29 people get trees and the other, 3,700 and change don't.
Right.
And I don't think we need to hear from all of them that
Right, correct.
they weren't picked for a tree.
Right.
Yeah, I've been in Grand Rapids to see where I grew up, and they planted sycamore trees on some of the streets, and they are all huge, and they are amazing. It is so beautiful. And you can see occasionally where there's a younger one, but they replanted one, same species, all sycamores. I don't know if that's a good or bad choice, but they look really good. Anyway,
Dan?
it makes a difference for the future.
Brian, you wanted to share some information because obviously you actually shared earlier, so come back up to the podium if you'd like during this time.
Yeah, I'll answer some of your questions because I've been working with Jack Smith. He does this work as a subsidiary committee from the Friends of Williamston Park, so we help him a lot too. But currently there's 72 trees in there. He already said about 20 of them are over 6 feet, so they are ready for planting. The grant specifically says that they have to be native tree species, and these ones all so far are deciduous, so they lose their leaves in the fall. I don't know about if any of them are dwarf trees, but to address two other things, tree roots are supposed to grow down and deep. They only grow sideways when the soil is too compact from different things being done on the property. Also, the garden club has offered to offer uncommitted advice throughout the tree planting because they felt, forgot the exact examples, but 30 years ago they did a project by the highway the city supported with. About 12 or 15 years ago there was a bunch of trees put in and they noticed they were put in wrong with how they were mulched and stuff. So they came to a city meeting and spoke up. So they like how the city will listen to them when they speak up, and then when it comes to this trees, they're willing to do that kind of same thing when we're just out and about doing our garden club stuff, when we notice those types of things, like, oh, this is like not a good spot, or there's something wrong with this tree, we need to communicate it. So those two things they wanted to communicate, but that was pretty much it. But Jack is back onto board with like what he was saying, like we need the inventory first.
Yes.
And from my understanding, the inventory is also going to tell us a little bit about the health and placement of the trees, depending on how itemized you want to get in those 1 and 2 sections. I didn't have that report memorized, but I did see that they did have that included in there, the health of the tree
Okay.
as part of that.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Brian. Glad you were here this evening. All right, any other questions or comments regarding tree nursery and what that looks like and,
Sorry, one more.
oh yeah,
Jack's not here because he's getting an award from the Friends of
I
Williamston
know,
Parks for the
it's-
tree nursery.
it's
so.
Citizen of the Year
Yeah, so I
award
didn't
this
really go there.
evening, so I know we're missing that right now. All right, well, I think we covered everything, but if you come up with other questions or concerns regarding that, I'm sure Jack will be back at a future meeting, and it'll be interesting to see what the tree inventory looks like and what that can tell us from a city perspective. Moving down to our agenda, no correspondence received, so we'll go right into department head reports, and so coming back over to you, John.
Just a brief update on construction projects. We did distribute notices that look like this by hand about a week or 2 weeks ago, and then we also did mailers to the folks around. This is the Miller Railroad one. Something similar went to the
Excellent.
business in the industrial park, and we got a couple of questions from them. I've got a appointment, I think sometime this week, to talk to High Five Fitness about exactly what's going on with their area and the driving from there. So good feedback, good questions about, like the actual length of closure and the impact, mainly from the industrial park for scheduling deliveries and things like that.
Okay, excellent. Dan?
Question. I noticed that there's some more mailings going out with the ITC Sabine Lake
Yeah.
power line stuff, and it looks like they've narrowed down to 3 different possibilities, and some of them are, if not in town very close to them.
Mhm.
Have you heard any more about that?
We received a mass mailing today, and the planning commission, Tifa, everybody, and you will be receiving that by email probably tomorrow. There's another round of listening sessions in July. I think the closest one is in Fowlerville. There's one in Lansing too. So I got the same communication, and the routes they're down to 3 routes. All 3 of them they come close to the city, but 2 of them follow the I-96 corridor, and the other one is to the north of us. But you'll be receiving that communication,
All right, excellent.
and then we'll also put it on our website too.
All right, anything else you want to share? No?
No, just hopefully everybody has an enjoyable Jubilee week. The weather seems to be cooperating so far. It's either been hot or rain the last several years here, so hopefully that cooperates and everybody has a good time. It's a good time in town.
All right, moving down, our department head reports. Chief,
Good
Jubilee
evening.
has started.
Jubilee started, day 1's in the books. It was awesome, no issues. The reserves and the licensed staff are working hard to ensure it's a safe and secure event, and that continues throughout the week. You'll see us out there.
All right, great, thanks, appreciate it. We also have in our packet our Livingston County Department of Building and Safety Engineering. They issue our permits for new construction, renovations, residential, commercial. If you see something on these reports and you have questions, please reach out to our city manager, John Hannafin. He will contact Livingston County and get an answer for you. Committee, subcommittee reports. Anyone want to share?
Yeah, NISA.
Yes.
Okay. There was this question about recording NISA meetings and so forth, and I told them about your option, and they said, $2,400 a year, that's way too much money. So, which I think was not a very good idea, but that's what their conclusion was. I think that they said that they're gonna do the existing system or something like that, and I don't think that I've looked at the ones done with the existing system, and I've looked at the ones done by you, and there's like, this is the minor leagues and this is the NFL, you know, this is, so I'm disappointed by that, but that's what they decided to do, okay? And the other one was, the union, they voted in favor of the union, but nobody showed up to talk about the union.
Oh.
There was no union representative, there was no discussion about union stuff, so, that's,
That's interesting.
yeah,
Maybe it's coming.
it will come, yes, and it will be expensive.
Okay.
In the member at large position, there's, what was the Stifler or something like that?
Brian Stifler.
Oh,
Yes, so
Okay.
he's gonna be the alternate. Franz is gonna continue as the regular guy.
all right, thank you.
That's NISA.
All right, anyone else have meetings that they've attended that they want to share on? No? All right. Audience participation, again, maximum of 5 minutes per presentation. Would anybody like to come up at this time? All right.
We have a Boy Scout here.
Yes, we do.
For some reason.
I was actually gonna get to that,
Oh, okay.
but I'll let you. Go ahead, Terry.
Why are you here?
I'm here for my communication with
All right, great.
so I have to go to a council meeting,
Okay.
All right.
so.
Well, thanks for being here.
Robert's a good young man. I actually had the pleasure of coaching Robert in basketball, I think, 2 years ago. And it's good to see you here, Robert.
All right. Council member comments. I'll start with John down here at the end.
No, no comment.
Okay. Terry?
I really like the trees. I live on Georgia Street, and the south side of Georgia Street is just beautiful. Complete canopy there, and I look forward to seeing more of that kind of thing in the city.
All right. Tim?
Yeah, the first night the Jubilee, loved watching the cars smash into each other. And no major incidents, and I thought the VW at the end was gonna take it, but that one smash by that bigger vehicle took him out and he got it, and it was just a good time to watch it.
All right. Dan?
Jubilee started out great. Everybody was very happy that the food and beverage tent was open again for Derby night. Make sure you get out, enjoy Jubilee this week. I believe there's music in the tent nearly every night. Fireworks Saturday night, the carnival's getting set up, the duck race, all the things. Get out, enjoy our community this week.
Scott?
Yeah, I really love the fact that we have 3 excellent candidates to replace our councilman who retired.
Yeah.
And I want to say to you that I hope all 3 of you run in November, no matter who gets picked for this short period of time. I hope all 3 of you go out and get your signatures and run, because it's clear that you're all would be really good additions, so, thank you.
So I contacted the city. I had Barb and Holly work up a proclamation, because this is the 55th anniversary of our Red Cedar Jubilee here in Williamston. So I got with Ben Eichler, and he talked with Mac Donnelly, who is the president for the Jubilee Committee. And so we did an opening ceremony ribbon cutting before the Derby got started. It gave me an opportunity to acknowledge those Jubilee volunteers, the donors, the sponsors, the 55 years of taking an event 55 years ago and creating something that we have built upon for 55 years. So it was fun, and I think they all got a kick out of it. However, we
Did
had
you get to do the big scissors?
we did the big scissors,
Oh.
yes, and
Big
I was
scissors?
very crafty and went to Hobby Lobby, and not only was it a green and silver sparkly ribbon, but I also added red, white, and blue bows on it, because this is the 250th anniversary of our United States, so we added a little bit of fun into that. But we had a dry run. I think poor Danette was gonna, because she went and got all the volunteers. I said, no, we need to get closer to 6. She's like, we are not doing it closer to 6. And so we did it in about 5 minutes to 6. The line for their derby was extremely long. In fact, the chief was mentioning earlier, we think this is probably the largest crowd at the derby we've had in a very, very long time.
Did
So,
the independent bank take care of the money?
They do. Yep, Carol and her
Yep.
husband came down.
Yep.
They've done that for the last 3 or 4 years, and they've,
and here's what I have to say about the volunteers. In order to get everybody in and get seated before the little tykes with their little battery-operated vehicles, which was that was fun. The volunteers were coming through the crowd, and if people had cash, they were going and helping move that process along a little bit better, so that people could get in and get seated. But just what a great time in our city this week. It's such a tradition, all the way back from starting in the vacant lot where McDonald's and Speedway is at, and the beer tent being there, and having the carnival actually on the football field, which we don't do that anymore, because that grass is that's pristine football grass. But this tradition has been kept alive by so many different people, so many service organizations. So I just wanted to say we love Jubilee for our residents and also our visitors that could potentially become future residents. The theme this year is Made in Williamston, and it couldn't have been a better picked theme. But other than that, I think summer, which officially started yesterday, is off to a great start, especially with it being Jubilee Week. So get out there and enjoy all of the events throughout the entire week. You won't be disappointed with however you participate. Wednesday night is Kids Parade. Saturday is Grand Parade, following up the Rotary Duck Drop in the Old Mill parking lot. A lot of good food, lots of good music that's going to be happening, sidewalk sales, craft shows. I mean, like I said, you can't go wrong. Citizen of the Evening Awards dinner is happening right now out at our senior center. Tomorrow is Senior Citizens Lunch at McCormick Park. So there's literally something every single day of the week. I think there's a euchre tournament. I don't know if there's
Euchre and
cornhole.
Thursday
There's are the cars coming in? Classic cars coming in?
not the car, there is the Eagles Car Show Saturday
Eagles Car Show
after the
Saturday,
parade.
yes.
That'll be going on. The last few years, they've had the Model T ride Saturday, before and after the parade.
Yep.
I believe those are happening again.
How you weren't a part of Jubilee this year?
I've
Because
been
you've been doing baseball.
doing Jubilee for 20 years. This
So
is the
it's
first
just right
year
there for
in 25 years I haven't been I was not at the Derby, and it felt really weird. My boys were running, but we had an out-of-town baseball tournament, which is why I'm no longer an officer. But it's Oh, wait, it's still right there.
The volunteers are doing a great job this year. That's it for me this evening. As far as comments, we are now, I'm going to ask for a motion. We need to move into closed session to discuss attorney-client privilege correspondence allowed by the MCL 15.268, parentheses 1H. So I'm looking for that motion.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have support?
Support.
Holly, will you call the roll?
Van Allsburg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
All right, we are going to adjourn at 7:14 to go into closed session. Our audience members, this is your time where I'm going to ask you to leave council chambers. At 7:30, we have an action item, the Freedom of Information Act request appeal. And at this time, I am going to move this forward. We have a FOIA appeal that was brought to us by Ms. Mitiff. And we've provided the FOIA information. There was one item that was missed. It was a photograph. That was provided. And then you appealed, and you're wanting more information than what we've already provided. Christine, if you'd like to come forward, because I'd like you to speak on what we haven't provided, that you think you have not received.
Okay. I did write my appeal letter. I feel my appeal letter is pretty adequate.
Okay. So we have a copy of your appeal letter.
Yep.
We received everything that you've received.
Yes.
Everything that you FOIA'd by your FOIA request, we received. So we have this, I'm going to read this, your appeal letter here. Please accept this appeal under the Freedom of Information Act. My request was assigned the identification number 54 on May 13th, 2026. I received a response to my request in email signed by Barb Burke on May 17th, 2026. I responded with an informal appeal through email. I did receive the additional photograph on May 18th, 2026 through email, which included the statement from Barb Burke. Otherwise, there are no additional communications concerning the Riverwalk townhomes between January 1st, 2026 and March 31st, 2026. One or more correspondences are missing from both the aforementioned May 13th, May 18th emails. There are no indications under the reason for denial section that suggest why the entire pages might be missing. The documents that are being withheld significantly contribute to the public interest and greater understanding of operations and activities of government. Thank you for your consideration on this appeal. I look forward to a speedy resolution completion to my original request. So my question to you is, what do you believe is missing?
So I have a document or documents that should have been in the FOIA.
What are those documents?
I don't know that I want to share those with
Okay.
you because that's not really how FOIAs work.
Okay.
If I was able to have a document or documents or get a hold of them, then they should have been in the
Okay.
FOIA.
All right, so I'm going to ask a couple questions, and I may even ask my city attorney to ask. Are these city documents that you
Yes.
have?
They are documents that should have been with the in the FOIA. So my FOIA was communications between, and that is at least one of the documents.
Okay. So if our staff, and I've been through several FOIAs, over my 10 years of being mayor, I have gone through FOIAs multiple times. I have confidence in my staff that they have provided everything to you that we have. So my question is, how do you have some city documents or copies of them that we do not have? And where did you get them from?
Great question, isn't it?
It is a great question, because if my city staff is telling me undeniably that they have pulled everything for your request, then I'd like to know how you got copies of
And
city
it
documents.
kind of sounds like you're going to deny my appeal. It sounds like that's what you guys have decided, is that you've given me everything. That's what we...
Well, I guess I want to, as well as our council members and my city attorney and our staff, if we are remiss in giving you something and you say you have something that should be included in here, I'd like to know what it is, and I'd like to know how you got it. Because I don't think that our staff has withheld anything. I have had Holly as a city clerk for almost 27 years? 26. So I'm very comfortable in her capabilities of being a city clerk and doing FOIAs, and FOIAs before any of us were on council. If you've received something from somebody in the city, that they handed something off to you, I think we have the right to know that.
So my concern is are people in the city not being truthful to your staff then?
I guess I would need to know as
That's my
well, is it a
concern.
city staff member or is it a council member?
So then, can I meet with you privately and discuss this?
City attorney?
Because you guys went into private session, can I meet with you privately and discuss this?
I'm gonna ask our city attorney to weigh in now,
Well,
because I think
we
this is
need
gonna be a
to-
little bit
We need
larger.
to go through the process of
Okay.
this FOIA appeal, and it needs to come to a conclusion. And then, of course, a citizen can meet with the council member
Okay.
at the council member's discretion.
Sure.
What we really need to know is if there is a record that falls within the scope of the request
Mhm.
that the requester believes was not provided.
Right.
And if so, and that's not exempt,
Yep.
because we did exempt attorney-client privileged communications.
Right.
And we did redact certain privacy information, but the bulk of the record was disclosed.
Yep.
But if there is something within the scope of the request, specifically communications between John Hannafin and others concerning Riverwalk, then we need to know what that is. And
Okay.
if it is known, if we can find it, and it's not exempt, we will disclose it.
Sure.
We will.
So, let
Because
me ask.
my concern
Yep.
is, if I have one or more, what else hasn't been disclosed to me?
Okay, so I'm gonna get to that, Christine. So, if I call for a vote and we vote to deny their appeal, can Ms. Mitiff and I go behind a closed door and can she tell me that and can I come back in here?
Well, you can recess this.
I can recess it and go speak with Ms. Mitiff right now?
This is supposed to be handled, this is an appeal that's
I know.
supposed to be handled
I know.
on,
Based on what was provided and we say that we have 100% provided everything. If I ask for a vote and we uphold the appeal, and then I go and speak with Ms. Mitiff and she shares with me what she has, if I go into recess and we come back, then how do I handle that?
then perhaps she could make another FOIA request
Okay.
then for exactly what it is.
Exactly
But it sounds like most people don't make a FOIA request for documents they already have. Okay, I think this is a test to determine whether or not the city discloses everything that the requester is aware of that exists.
Right. My concern is if she does have something that was given to her that we don't have, right? I guess my concern is that I don't wanna think that anybody on this council has provided something to the Mitiffs. And if I find out that something has been provided, I mean, what?
But it would have to fall within the scope of the request.
Right.
That means then that the city manager
Right.
would know about it
Right.
because it's his communications.
Right, and I don't, and
It can't
I
be
know
something he
that all of
doesn't
his
know about.
communications go through, you know, they're,
It has
we
to
have
be-
everything.
It has to be something that's in the scope of the request.
Yep.
That was asked for in the FOIA.
Yep.
That is not attorney-client privilege or the private information redacted.
And
This is an extremely thorough, I mean,
it
we've
is
got
extremely thorough.
multiple text message threads
Yep.
from different people. We've
Yep.
got multiple email
Screenshots.
threads, screens.
Between city manager and other entities or individuals. And so I have 100% confidence that all of that has been provided. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
why would you ask for those things when you already had them?
That's not what I was asking for. I was asking for all the documents, and when I found that there was at least one or more documents that didn't show up in the FOIA, I wondered what else didn't show up.
Okay.
My goal wasn't to file an appeal on a FOIA. That wasn't my goal of this. My goal was to get answers to other questions.
Okay, I was just kind of curious if you already had them, I got you.
That certainly wasn't my goal.
Thoughts, comments, anything from our council right now?
But I think we should follow through with, because we have to go by what we have.
Yep.
And we've got the, everybody gets attorney-client privilege and everything like that, so I think I would make a motion to uphold the partial denial
Okay,
upon that.
all right. Do I have support for the motion that's in front of us?
Support.
All right, Holly, will you call the roll?
Van Allsburg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes.
No.
Okay. All right, the vote carries. We are going to uphold the partial denial. You will receive a response within 10 business days of receiving the appeal, and it will be mailed to the requester. If you choose to appeal again, we'll go through the same process again. Anything else, Tim, that we need to do as far as this?
No, thank you.
All right,
You're not gonna meet with her?
yes, I'm going to meet with her. But that'll be between Christine and I.
Can you do that tonight and then we continue this thing, or should we?
What we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask for a motion to, I'm gonna actually move for us to go out of,
We're in regular session.
we're in regular session, so I'm gonna move to adjourn at 7:41.